Buckle up, America. The economic forecast for 2024 is looking bleak. We're talking dark clouds, potential hailstorms, maybe even a rogue twister or two. Okay, maybe not twisters. But seriously, folks, the warning signs are flashing bright red. Layoffs are surging, inflation is still biting, and Americans are drowning in debt. It's not time to panic, but it is time to get prepared. Remember that feeling when you were a kid and your parents told you to batten down the hatches because a storm was coming? This is kind of like that, except instead of storing canned goods, we're talking about shoring up your finances. This isn't about fear-mongering. This is about facing reality head-on. The economy is shifting and we need to be ready to adapt. So let's dive into the eye of this economic storm and see what we're dealing with, because as we all know, knowledge is power. And right now, we need all the power we can get. Remember when getting a pink slip was something that only happened in old movies? Yeah, those days are gone. 2024 is seeing a wave of layoffs crashing over multiple industries. It's like a bad game of industry roulette and no one is safe. Tech giants, once seen as invincible, are trimming the fat. Retail stores are shuttering their doors, leaving employees stranded. Even the friendly skies are looking a little less friendly, with airlines grounding planes and handing out pink slips. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, these are real people losing their livelihoods. The uncertainty and fear are palpable. And the worst part? This is just the tip of the iceberg. Experts predict that the wave of layoffs is far from over. So what does this mean for the average American worker? In a word, uncertainty. Let's play a little game, shall we? Imagine your average American family. Now imagine that family's finances are a Jenga tower. How stable do you think that tower would be? Spoiler alert, not very. The truth is, a lot of American families are living paycheck to paycheck with mountains of debt looming over them. Credit card debt is at an all-time high and savings accounts are looking emptier than a politician's promises. This lack of financial cushion makes Americans incredibly vulnerable to economic shocks. It's like driving without a spare tire. Sure, you might be fine for a while, but the moment you hit a bump in the road, you're in trouble. And guess what? We're heading straight for a giant economic pothole. Remember the good old days when a job meant a steady paycheck, benefits, and maybe even a retirement plan? Yeah, those days are starting to feel as distant as a Blockbuster store. Companies, in a bid to cut costs and maximize profits, are increasingly turning to part-time workers. These workers, often juggling multiple gigs, are denied the security and benefits of full-time employment. It's the gig economy on steroids, and it's not pretty. This shift towards part-time work has serious implications. It creates a workforce that is constantly on the edge, living without the safety net of traditional employment. And for those who think this only affects low-wage earners, think again. This trend is creeping into white-collar jobs as well. So the next time you hear someone talk about the flexibility of the gig economy, remember the human cost behind that flexibility. Remember when you could buy a gallon of milk without having to remortgage your house? Yeah, those were the days. Inflation, that sneaky devil, has been wreaking havoc on everyone's wallets. And as prices for everything from groceries to gas continue to soar, consumer spending is taking a nosedive. It's a classic economic catch-22. This toxic cocktail of inflation and reduced spending is a recipe for economic disaster. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. It's just not going to end well. So what's the solution? That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, there's no easy answer. But we'll get to that later. For now, just know that the economic storm clouds are gathering and the rain is about to start pouring. Remember when we talked about those pink slips raining down? Well, it's time to name some names. Because this isn't just some abstract economic theory, this is about real companies making tough decisions that impact real people's lives. Tech giants like insert name of tech company and insert name of tech company have announced massive layoffs, sending shockwaves through the industry. Retail behemoths like insert name of retail company are shuttering stores and letting go of employees. Even the airline industry, once a symbol of glamour and adventure, is feeling the pinch, with insert name of airline and insert name of airline announcing job cuts. These are just a few examples of the corporate casualties of this economic downturn. And as the storm rages on, we can expect to see even more companies battening down the hatches and making difficult choices. The message is clear. No industry is immune to this economic storm. Okay, so we've painted a pretty bleak picture so far, but don't despair, it's not all doom and gloom. Remember what we said about knowledge being power? Well, now that we understand the challenges ahead, we can start preparing ourselves. Think of it like this, we're all about to sail into some rough economic seas, but with a little bit of preparation, we can weather this storm and come out stronger on the other side. First things first, assess your financial situation. How much do you have in savings? What are your monthly expenses? Once you have a clear picture of your finances, you can start making adjustments. Next, it's time to create a budget and stick to it. I know, budgeting is about as fun as a root canal, but it's a necessary evil if you want to survive this economic hurricane. And finally, start thinking about ways to diversify your income. Remember those side hustles everyone's always talking about? Well, now might be the time to finally give one a try. Taking control your financial destiny in your hands. Here's the thing about economic storms. They can make you feel powerless, like you're a tiny boat being tossed around by giant waves. But here's a secret, you're not powerless. You have more control over your financial destiny than you think. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're bombarded with news about layoffs, inflation, and economic uncertainty. But remember, you're not alone in this. Millions of Americans are facing the same challenges. The key is to focus on what you can control. You can't control the stock market, but you can control your spending habits. You can't control whether or not you get laid off, but you can control how prepared you are for that possibility. So take a deep breath, roll up your sleeves, and let's take control of our financial futures, because even in the midst of an economic storm, there's always hope. Diversifying income, more than just a side hustle. Remember when we talked about side hustles? Well, let's dive a little deeper into that, shall we? Because in this economic climate, having multiple streams of income is like having a financial life raft. It's not just about making extra cash. It's about creating a safety net for yourself. It's about having options. Think about your skills and interests. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? Chances are there's a way to monetize those skills, whether it's freelancing, starting an online business, or even just driving for a ride-sharing service. There are countless ways to generate additional income. The key is to be proactive. Don't wait until you're in a desperate situation to start exploring your options. Start building your financial life raft today. The debt dilemma, tackling high interest balances. Okay, it's time to address the elephant in the room, debt, specifically high interest credit card debt. That nasty little beast that can quickly spiral out of control and leave you feeling like you're drowning in quicksand. The first step is to acknowledge the problem. Don't bury your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist. The sooner you face your debt, the sooner you can start tackling it. Start by creating a budget and identifying areas where you can cut back on spending. Then create a debt repayment plan. There are a few different approaches you can take, such as the snowball method or the avalanche method. If you're struggling to make ends meet, don't be afraid to reach out for help. There are organizations that offer credit counseling and debt management services. Remember, you're not alone in this. Millions of Americans are struggling with debt. But with a little bit of effort and determination, you can break free from the shackles of high-interest debt and regain control of your financial future. Riding out the storm, a message of resilience. So there we have it. The economic storm clouds are gathering, but we're not going to let them rain on our parade. We're going to face this challenge head-on, armed with knowledge, preparation, and a healthy dose of resilience. Remember, we've weathered storms before. As a nation, we've faced recessions, depressions, and everything in between. And we've always come out stronger on the other side. This isn't about panicking, it's about being prepared. It's about taking control of our financial futures and building a more secure tomorrow for ourselves and our families. So let's batten down the hatches, shore up our finances, and weather this storm together. Because even in the darkest of times, there's always a glimmer of hope on the horizon.